Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's edition of Press Hour. December 1981 to December 2024, 43 long years since the acquired immune deficiency syndrome, HIV/AIDS, was discovered in human beings. It is 2 scores and 3 that the pandemic has taken the lives of over 42 million people from more than 88 million infected across the globe. In Cameroon, about 10,000 sucked to death by the disease. And we are still talking about treatment, not a cure. Where is science? Where are scientists? Where is research? And where are researchers? Where is the vaccine to prevent it? Where are the curative drugs to relieve the world and its citizens? Don't talk to us about antiretrovirals. Is that all science and research can afford for over 40 years? Leave HIV and AIDS to its mafia while developing countries pay the price with their population. Let us look at agriculture, our natural asset. Let us examine our minds. Many have rightly or wrongly described as a curse or paradox in plenty. Maybe we are holding scientists and researchers to task, whereas some policymakers with no interest for humanity are responsible for this. If you are the ones, please let the world be free. This is Kilian Dandifon, and we are on CRTV Press Hour. Thank you. Welcome back. Our topic for today is what is the role of research in development? If you like, we have rephrased it and we are saying Cameroon is research propelling development. To talk about this topic, to talk about where research has taken us to, we have Dr. Daniel Mabongo. He is the Deputy Permanent Secretary of National AIDS Control Committee. We're glad to have you on Press Asset, Doctor.
Okay. Thank you. The pleasure is mine.
Yes, and you're going to tell us what's happening. We are for 40 years and counting, 2 scores and counting. HIV/AIDS, has research failed us? What is happening? No, well, there's time for you to talk about that. We're going also, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce to you Dr. Mafani George Teke, who is a research consultant and a geologist. Welcome to Press R.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be on this highly coveted platform.
The honor is ours. We want to thank you for traveling all the way from Boya in the southwest to Yaoundé for Press R. Thank you for that sacrifice.
That's the little we can do to serve our country.
Yes, thank you. Welcome once again. We have Mr. Asanji Theophilus, who is a research consultant. He knows so much on agriculture. You're welcome, Mr. Asanji.
Thank you very much, sir. The pleasure is mine.
Yes, do you feel so confident that we are using research results, just briefly, to develop our country in agriculture? You know, I just said agriculture is our natural asset. Do you feel very comfortable?
Yeah, to an extent, 85% comfortable, and the remaining 15% maybe in the
5%, 520, 5 on 20 or 5 on 100?
85%.
85%.
Yeah, comfortable.
Okay.
And 15%, you know the lapses.
Thank you very much. We're going to meet our own Emmanuel Tenno Tumanjong, international correspondent for the Associated Press. Emmanuel, welcome.
Thank you, Kilian.
It's been a while you've not come to Press. What happened?
I've been very mobile, actually.
Very busy. Yeah.
Because covering news, covering like when I used to work for the Wall Street Journal and the Dow Jones Newswires, you had to be in places where there's a lot of economic issues.
So now again, you still remain the international correspondent for the Associated Press. We see why you have not been around. We'll make sure that each time you're around, we'll bring you to Press Hour. And at this moment, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about the press. Romeo Kenny read the newspapers for Press Hour. Romeo.
An insight inside Cameroon Insider reveals that the 2025 state budget is 7.3 trillion, denoting an increase of 0.5% as the post goes calculating, highlighting the second phase of the Yaoundé-Douala motorway as a major project to be executed next year. But not all looks gleaming. The horizon foresees a third fuel rise in 2025, while the Guardian Post goes begging government to have mercy on Cameroonians following anticipated increase in the cost of living, though opposition MPs promise earthquake in parliament in the Herat, just when the new National Assembly edifice tagged the People's Building goes operational from the eagle's eye. The 2025 presidentials are on spotlight elsewhere in the lone English daily as the Archbishop of Douala, Samuel Kleda, calls for urgent reforms to avoid chaos, yet the National Communication Council of Joseph Chebonken Kalabapso thinks the media will play a crucial role in ensuring peaceful elections. The Voice voices. Meanwhile, Bamenda youth are inspired to embrace democracy, the Horizon mentions in its banner. An endeavor that could lead to more Anglophone civil society movers and shakers, with some renowned figures pinpointed in the Guardian Post front page. After the Ngwon comes the Ngondo Festival of the Sawa people, now listed in UNESCO's intangible list of patrimonies. Cameroon Tribune reports that it is a remarkable move to revalorize the different cultural riches in the country at a time circulation resumes in the Douala-Bangui corridor after 2 weeks of strike following the killing of a Cameroonian truck driver. These and more featured in the Lone Bilingual Daily, plus other papers during the week. Until we meet again.
We look forward to having you next Sunday for another edition of Press R, of course, of Press Review. In Press R, Remio, thank you for reviewing the newspapers for us. Topic again, ladies and gentlemen, on today's edition of Press R is Cameroon is research propelling development. I think as a developing country, we may not be proud to be, we want to be emerged by 2035. We have not yet emerged, we're still developing. So we want to know whether research is propelling our development. If you like, our economy, our socio-cultural aspects of life. Now, the first question I will ask you across the board is, what's the role of research in development? Beginning with Dr. Mafani George.
Thank you for that question. Research plays a very fundamental role in the development of any nation because it is research that provides the basis for any nation to develop. It provides the knowledge, the information, the attributes that are needed so that entrepreneurs can capitalize on that information and transform that knowledge into some economic venture. So research is of absolute necessity when we're talking about the development of a nation.
Yes, Dr. Mabongo.
Yeah, research, Dr. Mafani said it well. Research in the medical area is this part who is giving evidence, because we are the area where we are talking about evidence-based, for example, medicine, where you should not just take all the protocol like they are proposed in the books, but you should adapt it to your reality, and it's only research that can provide you evidence that this is how this drug, this strategy is accurate for your context. And it's based on this evidence that now we can transform the result of this research to a strategy to improve population health.
Exactly, you stated it so well. We're going to ask, are we applying, to use the word, the results of our research? If we are, why is there so little progress or sometimes areas of stagnation? Now, we'll go into the details when we come to you to tell us what research has done in the field of medicine, especially you are here from the National AIDS Control Committee. You tell us exactly, I started asking you. Now, to the journalists. No, I will end with the journalists. Yes, to you, Mr. Asanji, research.
Yeah,
The role of research.
Yeah, taking from where Dr. Mafani ended, because he has already done a very good introduction. I think in our nation, research is very, very important in the world at large, because research helps us to understand where we are coming from, where we are, and where we are heading to. And if we make good use of the research, I think our country will be a better one. If you compare Cameroon maybe in 1961 as compared to the result we have today, agriculturally or in different domains, you see that research has really played an important role.
Yes, and we are using the word propel means that actually let us develop to the that we think others are developing. Emmanuel, you were supposed to, we just have to go into discussing this topic. In journalism, how does research help you to be better, to use the words of Mr. Sanjay?
Typically, I've been a journalist working for the international media for nearly 30 years, in fact, 29 years now, working for the Associated Press and working for Dow Jones Newswires, the Wall Street Journal. The point is I've covered many stories related to research. I give you an example, like our late professor Anomangu did a lot of research and came out with a finding about the AIDS virus, Vanivax. He had findings that showed that he could cure, and he was already curing AIDS victims. Like he told me sometime earlier in an interview that he had cured about 18 people. But the context of Cameroon does not give him the chance to pronounce the names of these people. That's the context of the health institution. If the health institution is treating on a disease that is deadly, they don't pronounce the names of those people. But when he told me this story, sometime in Yaoundé we had a case where he was invited. He wasn't invited there, but he went there to talk about. It's looking for the United Nations was looking for a vaccine that could cure AIDS. In fact, as we talk to the option now, no vaccine has come out to cure AIDS, or any drug has actually come out to cure AIDS. When I read from the New York Times some time ago, I discovered that only 2 people in the world have been cured of AIDS. If I let's go back to our topic, the topic
before we go back to our topic, elements you have mentioned in the lead Dr. Anomangu and his cure. He said he had cured 18. First thing, the international community, the Cameroon government termed his approach or his cure unconventional. And if in the development of your contribution, you say only 2 people around the world have been declared
accepted worldwide,
it also mitigates the declaration by the late renowned doctor for having cured. You also say there is no vaccine yet. We mean that his vaccine is not working, it's not curing.
Let me explain something to you. Since we are talking about research here, the issue about Professor Nomangu is that he was already testing his vaccine. I cannot give you the story here because we don't have time. But the fact is that with these people that he cured, his vaccine was going through testing period. It was like going through still the research, but he was already curing the people. The idea was that when he tested people, he sent them to Centre Pasteur to test their blood, the viral load in them. Within about 6 months, 1 year or so, he discovered that the viral load was already missing in them. And he asked me a question: where has the viral load gone to?
A question we have to shift to the specialist in HIV/AIDS sector, Dr. Mabongo. Viral load he has talked about. Does it get to the level where you can test negative, and probably that is why he said he had cured, or he actually could cure?
Thank you for the question. So the HIV response has gone through a lot of process, and then now we are at this stage where we have this antiretroviral drug with the high genetic barrier, and then that can provide a very quick low level of virus in the body. So the viral load is the metrics that we are using to follow up our patients. And normally after 6 months of initiation, taking the drug based on dolutegravir-based medication that we are using currently in Cameroon as the first line of HIV drug, normally you are supposed to have like a suppressed viral load. Okay, and then we have a slogan that we are calling
suppressed.
Yeah, suppressed.
It is still there.
Yeah, but
it
now
can still
This
resurface.
is reducing.
yeah, it's reducing. And then now we have the slogan that we are calling U equals U. Okay, so it means that undetectables equals untransmissible. So it means that after suppression, we are going a bit lower. Okay, and then there is a threshold where the test, the rapid test or the conventional test is not able
visible
to detect the virus, and at that stage the antibody, because he indirect test, and then at that stage the client can think that it's negative, but it's not negative. It's just because the drug is working so well that the level of antibody is so low that the test cannot detect it, and at that stage he can think that it's not longer positive, but he still has the virus inside his body.
Very clearly stated. Yeah, you want to continue with it?
Yes,
I think you stated it so clear.
Yeah, I like the way he puts it. He's a scientist. I'm not a scientist, but I spoke to a scientist like Prof. Sano Mangu, who said that if he cures somebody who has the virus in him, and the virus is no longer there, the question he asked me is, where has it gone to? Another thing he told me was that if he
has answered that question. Dr. Mabongo has answered that question.
Let me say one thing.
That it has been suppressed, yes. It cannot be detected, but if you stop taking the medication, it resurfaces. I think he has stated it so clearly.
Professor Magu said that if he cures you of AIDS, you will never have AIDS. That's another thing that I took very serious, and I enjoyed the way he puts it, which is a very scientific approach that doctor puts. But if another professor like Adam Magu says that if he cures you of AIDS, you will never have AIDS again.
Well,
for me, it's questionable again. Like
science evolves. I don't think that he discovered a vaccine and we rejected it. We want humanity to die. His explanation has convinced us that it can be suppressed, and it ties in with the way you started. Once it's suppressed, and you using your words, if it's tested negative after 6 months, where has it gone to? That's the question he put to you.
Exactly.
And he has given you an answer to it. It has been suppressed. It is hidden. Which means you stop taking medication, it resurfaces. Exactly. I think that he has clarified that so well.
It's okay.
Now I am going to come to you, Dr. Mabongo. You are the ones controlling this. What is wrong? Why hasn't research for over 40 years, 1981 to 2024, 43 years, we don't have a vaccine? We don't have a drug in Cameroon. We're talking about treatment, palliative kind of treatment. What is wrong with science, with research?
Yeah, I think that the main issue with HIV virus is not like the other virus. And I just want to take, for example, the flu vaccine. You can say that the flu vaccine, sometimes you have to take several doses, and sometimes they have to change, and then because of mutation, because the virus is changing the strains regularly. So that's the main issue with the HIV virus, is that he's always changing the initiative strain. So it's very difficult to get the vaccine. So the best thing to do is maybe to develop, that's what the researchers are doing right now, is to develop medication that can block him or and avoid him to integrate the white cell and then destroy them. These are maybe the action model of the current medication. But with the COVID-19 and then the ARN technology, we are a bit more confident that maybe in the few decades we can have something better, since it's a new technology containing the vaccine. Maybe we have something, but in Europe they already have some medication, injectable medication, that you are taking once after 6 months. And then so with this medication, it's not necessary for you to take medication every day. You can take one injection, and after 6 months, you're taking another one. So I think that the researchers are trained their best, but the thing is that the HIV virus, we don't know if it's very intelligent or it's very wicked, but it's very difficult to develop a vaccine focused on the initiation code of the genetic ARN of this virus.
Researchers, scientists cannot sit and call a virus intelligent or wicked. They are supposed to move faster than the virus. They are not supposed to let the virus move faster than them. Well, that said, there are people, and the voices are getting many around the world, who think that it is a mafia, that actually because it's a big business around the world, even if a vaccine is found, people say there's a vaccine, they cannot let it go for people to use because tons and tons of drugs, palliative, call them antiretrovirals, have been distributed, including that is involving so much money. They have to let that go before they ever introduce the virus. We make those who think that is a mafia sound convincing. What do you say?
So I think that in research we always have what we are calling conspiracy theories.
Conspiracy theories.
Exactly. So we always have, but we have this situation not only on HIV, even during COVID-19, even for monkeypox, even for routine vaccine that we are that we have on in our expanded vaccination program. We always have this conspirationist theory, but I think that it's not possible because the HIV is not affecting only the black people or the African people. We have HIV all over the world. So I'm just thinking that it's just a theory, but the research has proved that we have an origin, and then we saw how the virus moved from the monkey to the human, and then we started to have human-to-human transmission, especially the sexual. So the best thing we can do, or we can advise people to do while waiting, because to demonstrate if is this conspirationist or not is the prevention. So it's not necessary to start to discuss about, but the researchers, they are doing their best. Even in our country here, we have a research center, Chantal Biya International Research Center, where they are doing a lot of research to try to handle the HIV pandemic, to try to look for solution, vaccine, but it's still challenging all over the world.
Yes, maybe to move on to the other areas of research, we ask you this question. The 2024 World 8-day theme is Take the Right Step, the Right Path, My Health, My Right. The right to health by addressing inequalities that hinder progress in ending HIV, AIDS, in ending AIDS, if you like. What were the areas you capitalize on this year in Cameroon?
Also in Cameroon, you know that one of the main challenge of in HIV response is the stigmatization among towards the people living with HIV. So that's why we are most focused now on human rights, so that people should accept them, because HIV doesn't mean that you are living with disability. If you have HIV, you have all the right that someone who doesn't have HIV. So during the last month, the HIV month in Cameroon, and all over among the 10 regions, through the regional technical group, we carry out a lot of campaign of sensitization, and then we also take the occasion to share with the population the result, because we carry out the stigma index survey in Cameroon, and then we show to the population that we still have around 3.4 people living with HIV that are victim of stigma around our country. So we were just using the civil society, the community, to address, to sensitize their peers, to address the issue of stigma toward people living with HIV in our country.
Yes, on this topic, there are two people who have, two panelists who have not talked about this. I want to capitalize on what he has said. reducing the level of stigma. Dr. Mafani George Teke, is it easy to just say that someone who is HIV positive to your face, to your view, is the same, equal, no stigma around the person?
Yeah, I think it's yes and no. Yes, in the sense that if we approach it the right way, it will be easy to handle. But if we go about it the wrong way, it becomes very difficult. And without being an expert in public health, Dr. Mabongo raised something that hinges on the problems that we have in the science policy interface. Most times the scientists, or sometimes the scientists, are not understood by the decision makers or the policy makers. And on the flip side, sometimes the scientists don't understand the decision makers or the policy makers, not necessarily because of any fault of theirs. These two groups of persons have different agendas, they have different priorities, they have different objectives. So if you come back to the question that you asked, I speak under the cover of Dr. Mabongo. Before you announce to a patient, you need to accompany that patient with all the psychosocial instruments for that patient to be able to take that, and even the patient's family. But sometimes we're not able to do that because maybe policy has not put in place a system like that. If it exists, maybe it is not functional enough to make sure that it's operating at its optimum.
And to be very frank, someone who has, and many of us in our families must have had or must have known an AIDS patient, you are probably not infected, you are deeply affected when there is someone near you who has AIDS. Now to you, Mr. Asanji, what will you say about addressing people to accommodate, to accept their own and other people out of their families who are infected by what is difficult to treat up to this moment?
That's a very serious and important question. But I look at it this way from a godly perspective, that you may ask yourself if you were the one with it. So if you put yourself at the position of the patient, then definitely you better handle the patient without any stigmatization. But equally at the same time too, you are trying to prevent yourself not to be endangered by that virus.
Exactly. We're going to move on to another area of research. Since you are the one speaking, we ask you, you know so much, you are a specialist in agriculture, apart from just being a consultant, a research consultant. Where do you think research has taken Cameroon to in agriculture?
Yeah, concerning that, I believe that research has
why we have taken agriculture? We have areas which, if we handle them well, we'll not be talking about underdevelopment, we'll not be talking about poverty.
Exactly.
Agriculture is a leading area of our national life, and we have so much in agriculture that we need something. We need to do something for our lives, for our societies to be transformed. Yes. Where has research in agriculture taken Cameroon to?
Research has really helped Cameroonians in several forms, especially in the domain of agriculture, because if you look at the very beginning from the, let's say, 1961, let's just take that as a reference point, you discover that Cameroonians have been improving the standard of agriculture in one way or another. And policies makers have really been working in synergy too with some researchers in that domain. That's why from the very beginning I told you that I can rate it 85% success, in the sense that part of the result that most of those researchers have proposed to the Minister of Agriculture, I can tell you with all confidence that the Minister had always been taking that into consideration. For instance, if you go to regions like Southwest that are very good in the production of cocoa, yeah, you discover there that the Minister of Agriculture, after listening to the cry of the people through researchers and through some administrative officials there, he decided to create a system whereby they can be helping some farmers. There is a bank put in place which is called Swaviv, and which is under the control of Soweto. And it will be important for you to know that research too had made the minister to understand that there were some of these areas that really produce quite a lot of cocoa, coffee, bananas, plantain, but they don't have farm to market roads, which is a very serious and pertinent problem. It is not as if we are not producing to an extent beyond our comprehension, but there are some strings that are tying us down, and if the government can work together in synergy to take off those little strings, I bet you Cameroon will be an admirable nation. Most Europeans would love to come and live in Cameroon, and most Cameroonian youth would like to stay in their country because our soil is naturally fertile and our people are hardworking. But for some of these strings that if they are removed, our country will be the best.
Yes, let's even not go to the strings yet. When you paint the picture, it's so bright. And I know the target. Let me use one or two of the products that you cited as good example. Cocoa, which today is called the gold in Cameroon or something, you know.
The red gold.
The red gold, okay. Thank you very much. Cocoa, the target for so many years that I've been following is 600,000 tons per annum. But up to today, we are saying, well, we can produce 250, 300 tons. And then you say research. Research was supposed to get to that 600 and then move from 600 to 1,000 to 2,000. When you speak like that, what's happening?
Yeah, thank you very much for that wonderful insight. But you know, as a father, if you have children and then you see that one really needs special attention, maybe if it is academically, you will not totally send the child away and say, no, you are not doing great. The best thing you have to do, you have to draw the child closer, show the child much love, and you input something that you need to input for the child to grow and produce a better result. What I'm saying, many words in a few words, is that following the statistic you have given, I stand a better chance to tell you because I'm somebody on the ground, on the field, practically. If you go to Indian area, you will discover they produce a lot of cocoa there, but those data are not being collected. Nobody has idea of the cocoa that is being exported to the neighboring countries. If you go even to the northwest region, like the Njikwa area and even a part of Akwaya itself, part of their products they leave and go to Nigeria, the cocoa itself you are talking about. So we cannot blame the Minister of Agriculture or those working in agriculture or some policymaker based on that. We accept what they are doing, and I believe that if they are given more means, they will do better. Because, for example, when you take a ministry as such that fits the whole nation, and maybe the budget does not really tie with what it can do something marvelous, so it is really a kind of problem too. But researchers are really doing their best, and that is why on the field practically, you can see that some of these products, they are trying for it to be transformed. The Minister of Agriculture has struggled so that some transformational unit can be put in place at Meme Division, Manu Division, and even part of Njan Division. But that of Njan Division, they are still studying, they are still doing some feasibility studies to know the quantity of cocoa exactly that comes from that area.
This question may not be for you to answer. When you say cocoa and other products from Dian, from Jikwa, from some other parts of the country are exported unaccounted for to neighboring countries, and you say no official of government can be blamed. Do you think that if the producer had better profit or better means of bringing it into the country, they will instead export? I think that somewhere we are not giving them the conditions to keep the products within ourselves.
Let me say something on that, Kilian.
Yes.
I've covered cocoa for over 20 years.
Yes.
I know all the nooks and corners of cocoa in Cameroon. I've traveled all over Cameroon in areas where they produce cocoa, the 7 regions of Cameroon. Yes. The idea about cocoa that Mr. Sanjay is talking about, maybe it doesn't master how the cocoa industry runs in Cameroon. The issue is that Cameroon has two main areas where they produce a lot of cocoa. One of them has been submerged by war, the Southwest, which has been maybe the biggest producing region for about 50 years. I've gone to all those areas. Maybe doctor can confirm with me. I've gone to all those areas. The issue about cocoa in Cameroon is that there's a lot of corruption in the cocoa business. The farmers who produce the cocoa, except for this season that just about
that's what
to
I was going to tell you, that yes, exactly,
yes,
it has changed.
except for this season, and I know why. Because in Ivory Coast, I've covered cocoa in Ivory Coast, which is the biggest producer in the world. Ivory Coast was having the same level around the 80s with Cameroon. Ivory Coast today produces about 2 million tons of cocoa at least a year, a season, I'll better say. But what is happening in Cameroon? We're Cameroon's cocoa production, the maximum it has gone ever since I began reporting about cocoa in the 90s till date, it was around 150,000 tons at that time. Today it's about 300,000 tons. Cameroon cannot get up to the level of producing, what do you call it, say, cocoa up to about 600,000 tons. One of the reasons why Cameroon cannot produce a lot of cocoa is basically because those who handle the cocoa business in Cameroon, they go to countries where they produce a lot of cocoa, like Brazil. Brazil has a very powerful technology in cocoa. For instance, they have a method that they call, they plant cocoa like cassava. So they cut the stems of cocoa, and it's hybrid type of cocoa. So the cocoa grows faster and it produces all year round. That is the type of cocoa that you have now within the center region
in Cameroon.
Yeah, which is now the biggest producing area. Producing the center region of Cameroon.
Center and south.
No, center region. I'm talking about their specific. All of them have their specificities.
Yes.
The center region produces at least 50%, or about 53-54% of cocoa every season. The story about cocoa is that when our managers of cocoa go, like the former manager of Sodecao, when sometime he went to Brazil, he came with some Brazilians, he said they were going to produce, they call them in French brochure. Brochure is the breaking the curtains of cocoa.
Yes.
Up to today, we have not tasted the brochure of cocoa.
So we mean that our research is not helping.
It has taken us. If we can put.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
And,
on that topic, because I wanted to come to you.
On that topic on research,
yes.
Okay. Research has done a lot in Cameroon. We're talking about agricultural research. We know about the Institute of Agricultural Research for Development, where researchers have produced outstanding results that have propelled agriculture in this country. Now, the role of researchers is to provide the information. The Ministry of Scientific Research does not produce, it produces the results.
Exactly.
It is the other stakeholder ministries who have to take these research results, leverage on them, and see how they can advance the development of the economy. So when we're talking about research, research has done a lot. We're talking about cocoa. The technology you're talking about, it's in Cameroon. A good number of advanced technologies to improve on the production and resilience of some of these agricultural products is found in Cameroon. But the challenge is, why is it not being adopted? I'll give you an example, still on agricultural research wheat. We had a problem where there was shortage of wheat in the country.
Correct.
The Institute of Agricultural Research for Development, under the auspices of the Minister of Scientific Research and Innovation, set out to conduct experiments, and it was established that wheat can grow in all the agroecological zones of Cameroon. And there are some areas that are already producing.
Yes, so, I can testify to that in the Northwest. My family grows wheat.
Exactly. So that's thanks to the work that researchers have done. But then it remains for the entrepreneurs to take this as a business. Because researchers are not the ones who are going to do the production.
Exactly.
It's for entrepreneurs to pick that up. The Ministry of Agriculture may be doing its part to encourage farmers to pick up wheat as a crop to cultivate. But if you go to the farm, somebody looks at wheat and looks at maize. Maize, the turnover is very rapid because in 3 months you are harvesting. Wheat has to go through a process. So these are all things that we have to consider before we start bashing researchers that they are not doing enough to advance development in the country.
Yes, in 2 minutes, Mr. Sanji, before I come back to you, Dr. Mafani, there is SIAC in the Ministry of Agriculture. How far has SIAC helped to, improve on the results of research?
That's a very important and pertinent question. First of all, SIAC itself was set in the ministry, or this
Maybe
policy.
you should tell us what SIAC is.
Yeah. This SIAC is all about Community Education and Action Center purposely for development. Yeah, and this idea was being given to us by the United States of America, a diplomat, when he came in 1961 and discovered that there were a lot of situations that the country was in need of. So he came up with this idea, and the Minister of Agriculture bought the idea, the government bought the idea, and the role of this SIAC was to work in close collaboration with the mayor. So he's the right-hand person of the mayor of every community or municipality. Now, what happens is this. When the SIAC director moves into the subdivision, he visits maybe the farmers, he talks with them. He visits maybe some administrative officials there, he talks with them. He visits some traditional leaders, he talks with them. And then he comes up with some of their needs. And then he sits now at his quiet corner, try to design projects and take it to the mayor, for the mayor to look at this project, and then he comes up equally with some areas or some partners that can easily sponsor this project. He advises the mayor, we can write officially to this partner or this other partner so that they should come to our aid or to help that community. For example, it might be an issue of farm to market road. It might be maybe an issue of a bridge in a community that is hindering that community from transporting its products to the market or wherever. So this director now takes that into consideration, works hand in glove with the authorities of the council.
Just in 1 minute, not more than that. Are you describing what it's supposed to be, or you have examples on the field?
Yeah, there are quite so many examples on the fields, because like the SIAC director who works at Kombo Etindi, he made me to understand the parliamentarian in that area, Madame Mary Mobuka, who also covers Toko subdivision, helped them with cassava cutting of more than 1,000 tons, which really helped that community so much. And we also have parliamentarians like Honorable Jume Peter, who also help his youth with soccer and so on and so forth, and which are part of the responsibility of a SIAC director to touch some elites to come to the rescue of the people.
Okay, thank you. You have given palpable examples. I'm going to look at another area. In every aspect of our national life, everything counts for our development. But as I said, science, medication touches on all of us, especially this was the week, December 1 is World AIDS Day. That's why we had the official from the National AIDS Control Committee. We talk about agriculture because that's the basis of our existence in Cameroon. But we have one other area, mining. That is, it is described in Cameroon by people, I said earlier, rightly or wrongly, as the paradox of plenty, if you like, the curse of abundance that we have. We have someone here who is a geologist, not only a research consultant in a blatant sense of the general sense of the word, but a geologist. How do you think that research has helped us in the mining?
We are.
You know that this is where Cameroon has to develop. It is from the highest authority of the country, and we know the minister, the acting minister of mines, industries and technological development is telling us that this is where Cameroon will develop.
Thank you. 30 years ago, 40 years ago, it was difficult for you to hear any talk about minerals in this country. And I am privileged to say amongst those in grassroots exploration who started the process of investigating the mineral resource potential of the country, contributing in my own very little way. Others have come after me, others are ahead. It is research that brought the mineral resource potential to the limelight. Before I continue, I want us to put this in different time frames. Before independence, research was largely conducted by the colonialists. And you'll notice that in the French-speaking part of the country, they did a lot more research in the subsurface resources than in the English-speaking part of the country. There was a reason why. The British were concentrating in Nigeria without paying attention in this English-speaking strip, while the French concentrated in Cameroon. So knowledge on the mineral resource potential of the French-speaking part was better known than in the English-speaking part. Fast forward to independence, Cameroonian researchers the Cameroon government took over the management of research and largely used expatriates who were training or passing on the knowledge to the Cameroonians. And then come to 1980s, 90s when the crisis came, there was a drop in funding for research. So there was very little activity. Fast forward to 2000, Cameroonians now who had gone to study abroad got into research in the mineral industry. That's why we're talking about the mining industry today. And what we are seeing today is, there is the business of exploration in the mining industry and there's the business of exploitation. Largely, focus has been on the business of exploration. Exploration is research. That is what has made us understand what we have in the country and the potential that we have. That has been studied enough to establish that it's economically viable. Discussions are going on to start the technical exploitation if it's not started in some areas. So
we are told that it has started.
In some
Iron
areas.
ore, for example, has started.
Yes.
And there's potential for it to propel, using the words that we have here.
Exactly.
What do you think that we need for it to propel our development?
We need the accompanying infrastructure. It's difficult to transport iron ore by road. It may be a temporary measure because of the specific gravity. Iron ore is very heavy. So if you transport it by road, that road is going to depreciate in less
within
than
a short
time.
period.
Yeah. So you need a railway that can transport iron ore. Now, the railway we have in the country, we did a study. The load-bearing capacities of some of the bridges is substandard, so it's difficult to transport iron ore on that railway. That's why discussions are underway to construct a railway that will move from the mines to port facilities.
Yes, and it will not be difficult, I am told. We are assured by public authorities that the area that has been carved out, and there is already the preliminary exploitation from Balam to abroad, where you have Balam to Kribi deep sea port is not very far. So we have been assured that the railway will be constructed. It's not constructed. So we agree with you. But we are also told that part of it opens directly to the sea. We do not need a railway there. So are you aware? We are told that is happening.
If it's said part of it opens directly to the sea, except that my geography is very poor, I don't see the Balam iron ore deposit opening to the sea. Maybe we're talking about the Mamel deposit in Kribi that has a coastal location. If that's what we're talking about, that is fine. But these are two different kinds of iron ore deposits. Balam is more attractive because it has what is called hematite, which is very easy to process. Whereas the Mamel has what is called magnetite, which has to undergo a very expensive beneficiation of one purification process to make it usable in the market.
You talked about the railway. You did not talk about other factors that can facilitate. You didn't talk about energy. I hear energy is as important as the railway.
Absolutely.
Always.
Absolutely. That one is
it's a key issue.
It's
there.
a key issue.
It's a key issue.
I'll say that if you look at all the energy projects that are going on in Cameroon, my hope and my wish is that these projects should come to fruition so that they can back up what is happening in the mining industry.
Yes, Emma, your contribution, and then we look for a way forward. Your contribution on this.
Yeah, well, if you work for the Wall Street Journal or Dow Jones Newswire, you cover too many economic issues, mining, agriculture, like Mr. Sanjo was talking about. I'm happy to meet Dr.
Mafani, George.
All of them, I've covered topics on all of them because if you work for AP, you cover all this type of topics. The issue, I've covered a lot about mining. The mining issue in Cameroon, Doctor has put it very clearly. I think the research has gone very far. I could better say so. But right now we have a key a key hurdle within the mining sector, which is bottlenecks within the government's management of the mining sector. Cameroon has one of the biggest mining fields. Yeah, in Balam that you mentioned. That is a problematic area in Cameroon because the company that went into that mining process, most of the research at the time, like feasibility studies, that Sundance Resources, is in problem with the Cameroon government. And they're asking Cameroon government about $3,000 billion to pay them out because the Cameroon government, after they asked for a very long time to get approval for drilling, which is supposed to come from the head of state, Cameroon has not given them. Okay. The country has actually virtually gone down the rail. I mean, down the drain because they can no longer produce the mining again, and they have lost most of their potential.
Do you know about China Steel?
I know about China Steel.
Then we are saying we have lost what? Do you know the potential of China Steel?
China Steel is being said that China Steel has been auctioned. That Cameroon auctioned China Steel. I mean that iron ore reserve to China Steel.
This is what you are saying.
Yes.
It is said, but I'm telling you that I went down there and I saw the investments and others are coming. It is really impressive.
Let me say something to you about mining. It is not what the people put on the field. Doctor will tell you very clearly. It is not what they put on the field that you go and see and you get flabbergasted. What happens is that...
My seeing is not seeing physical. My seeing also is seeing from explanation what he's talking about, the investment, and then looking for companies up to today. He has talked about the weight, how heavy it is.
I know.
And I complimented because I have also information about that. So since that's not our topic, we cannot get out of our topic and then we have just 6 minutes to go.
Let me just say one little thing, maybe within 1 minute or 30 seconds.
Emma, please, we have 6 minutes to go, and I'm going to tell you to start. Is our way forward. What can we do in Cameroon today to have the results of research to propel our development, to enhance our development?
Let me tell you one thing. I've covered many. I'll give you one example. I gave you one example of Professor Nomangu about AIDS.
Yes,
the second one I'll give you is this guy they call Atuzang, who is a guy who fabricated a tablet,
yes,
which was meant to use for women's pregnancy and stuff. That is a very big project. But let me tell you, just like the government, the health ministry of Cameroon gave Professor Nomangu just 100 million CFA, they didn't give Atuzang anything. And up to date, I don't even know where he has gone to, which is research on, I've forgotten the name of this apparatus that he created.
Yes, this is what we are saying. If you have a very good product and you go and hide in the sea, as it is said, even banana under the sea will get ripe. If it is good, you can always have people because you're talking about health.
It is.
Now, that's the way forward. You are saying he needs resources to advance his technology. We agree. But he also should make it perfect, and then the resources will come. Thank you. You know, Emma, we said we have 4 minutes. Now, to you, Dr. Mabongo, what's the way forward for the results of our research to propel our development and to enhance health in our country?
So the way forward is, especially in the HIV context, the scientific committee has been created few months ago, and the role of this committee is to use evidence. And when we are talking about evidence, it's evidence adapted to our Cameroonian context to move forward the AIDS control in our country. So we are using the research carried out at the health facility level, at the lab level, to develop right policies adapted to the trend of the outbreak or the epidemic in our country. So while doing this one, we can just continue to encourage all the Cameroonians to know their HIV status And for those who are already on AIT, that they should know that we are
AIT is
antiretroviral therapy.
Okay.
So they have to know that we are using now treatment as prevention. Why? Because when you are taking properly your medication, you have a undetectable viral load, and then you cannot transmit HIV anymore to
Is
your
there any
partner.
problem of availability of the antiretroviral? Because from time to time we hear those are complaining.
No, right now we have enough a good stock of AIV because we are doing the quantification according to the current data and then the forecasting data that
Is it
that we
free
have.
of charge or they have to contribute?
Yeah, no, it's completely free of HIV is completely free of charges in Cameroon. HIV medication, viral load are under the universal health coverage package in our country.
Thank you. And to Mr. Sanji, before I would like Dr. Mafani to end, your way forward, research in agriculture, what do we need more to propel our development?
We need the different stakeholders to work in synergy with researchers on the field, and we also need to encourage the local farmers by helping them to create more cooperatives and to ensure that the cooperatives are really functional, so that during their cooperative meetings we can help to educate them and try to provide means for assistance or to see how we could help them to have quality seeds.
Dr. Mafani, you are really well rooted in research as an academic and as a geologist.
Thank you. May I start by saying that efforts are being made to ramp up the contribution of research to development in the country with the recent change of status of researchers working in public institutions in Cameroon. That has really motivated them. Thanks to the work of the Minister of Scientific Research and Innovation, and the head of state listened to her, and that's how this status was signed. Now, what to me needs to be done is to improve on the science policy interface such that researchers, scientists as a whole, and policymakers should be able to communicate. And there are three major things I'll prescribe here. One, improve coordination. Two, improve collaboration. Three, improve infrastructure. And four, increase funding for research in the country.
Thank you very much. And that was Dr. Mafani George Teke, research consultant and geologist. You also had on our panel Dr. Daniel Mabongo, Deputy Permanent Secretary, National AIDS Control Committee. Yes.
I think it's I'm just working at the research unit.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not yet the deputy.
Thank you for that correction. We also had Mr. Asanji Theophilus, who is a research consultant, Emmanuel Teno Tumanjong, international correspondent for the Associate Press. Ladies and gentlemen, if you missed out on this program from the beginning, there will be a full rebroadcast on Monday at 2:30 on CRTV Premium, on Wednesday on CRTV News at 9:30 p.m. That's after the news in the French language. Thank you very much for being there.